All right, I think we are now live. We up and it is straight up noon. So we've got a full panel today. So I think we should go ahead and get started. Hi everyone. I am Kim Brazel. I'm Director of Graduate Admissions at Peabody College. I want to welcome you and thank you for taking time to join us today for the Peabody College Current Student Webinar. It's kind of a mouthful and I've been practicing it all morning. So that's a lovely thing. Coming to you from my kitchen in Nashville, Tennessee. I know it looks like I'm on campus, but I'm not, but that is a picture of the Peabody campus in the fall, which is absolutely lovely. I'm just going to kind of roll through a few housekeeping items real quickly, and then I'm going to turn it over to the current students, not me. So current master students are going to discuss their Peabody experience, what makes Peabody different, what resources they found valuable, what they wish they would have known before they started graduate school. And I also told them, feel free to add anything else to the mix. They were prospective students not long ago, and they probably know better than I do what you need to know at this point in time. So we have 6 different programs represented on our panel: child studies, human development counseling, higher education administration, leadership and organizational performance, learning diversity and urban studies, and special education. So each panelist will introduce themselves, talk about their experience for a few minutes, and then after we hear from all the panelists, we'll have time for questions at the end, which I hope we have questions at the end. So if you don't mind, kind of hold your questions and then just type them in the chat box. If we do run out of time, because we got a full panel, which I'm sure is going to be awesome, but if we run out of time and your questions don't get answered, simply email Peabody Graduate Admissions and we'll respond as quickly as possible. And I will make sure to put that email address in the chat so you all have it. And all right, again, thank you for joining us. So let's get started. I'm going to turn things over to Nina, who is a current human development counseling student. Nina?
Hi, everybody. My name is Nimia, and I'm currently a second-year human development counseling student with the newest track, the Human Development Study. And I come from China. I'm an international student, and I went to UIUC, U of I, Urbana-Champaign for my undergrad. Um, I think the reason I want to choose Peabody, first of all, you can see my background. That's kind of like Vanderbilt classroom, and the whole campus is like really beautiful. And also the campus environment, it's kind of like really inclusive. Although you see the demographic will kind of told you like there's a lot of like white people and like there's a little minority student here, but you can see all people are striving to have this inclusive environment. And before I come into Peabody, I was doing a nonprofit organization that create Chinese community in campus. So I did raise a chapter in U of I, and then coming to the Peabody, I also kind of like established like a chapter here to promote the psychological well-being. And it was really successful here because of all people's help and the support, especially from the administration office. So I would say what makes people different from other schools is like, all the faculties, all the professors, all the students you met here, they're just like so friendly, and they can be the best resource for you for your personal development, for your academic development, just like everything. It's so lovely. Yeah, that would be all.
Thank you, Nina. Okay, so now we're going to go to Salome from special education.
Hi, I'm Salome. I'm also a second year master's student in the special ed department, specifically the high incidence track, and working for to get a license for K through 8th grade. I'm from Mumbai, India, so also an international student, and I went to St. Xavier's College in Mumbai. Prior to coming to Peabody, I was working at a special needs school in Mumbai itself for 4 years, and we had a diverse range of kids from mild to moderate disabilities. And so it's time to get my degree and come to the best university for special ed.
Thanks, Salome. So next we're going to go to Molly from Child Studies.
Hi, I'm Molly. This is Eggplant right here with me. So I'm in Child Studies. I'm in the research track. So if any of you have questions like about that, I know more about the research track than the applied track, but I can talk about both. I'm from Seattle originally. I went to undergrad at Johns Hopkins. And then after that, I worked for a year in a psychiatric hospital on the female adolescent inpatient unit. What has been the most surprising thing about my experience? I've just been overwhelmed by how great Peabody is. I really love the environment here, the culture, and I've had really incredible opportunities. You know, I came in with a little bit of research experience from undergrad, but here I've actually had the opportunity to conduct my own research project like from scratch in the lab I'm working in, which has been really incredible. So my goals are I'm in the process right now of applying to clinical psychology PhD programs. And I think this program really kind of set me up to be a good candidate for those. I think probably about 50% of the people in the research track cohort came from having applied to PhD programs and not really having the experience or the background. And so if that's a reason that you guys are here, like that's definitely something common with the research track. And so it's just been a really great opportunity. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Molly. Next, let's go to Maggie from Learning, Diversity, and Urban Studies.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Maggie, and I'm in the Learning, Diversity, and Urban Studies program. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a glare here. Also known as LDES, and it's a one-year intensive master's program. A little bit of background about me. I'm from Central Pennsylvania, and I graduated from Westchester in 2015. Since then, I've been working for Make-A-Wish for a couple years, and then I was back in school settings, working in special education and also as a program coordinator. And I did a little bit of graduate school work in school counseling in Pennsylvania as well. Before I ended up here. So kind of wanted to give that background to share that not every career path is linear, and just welcome everybody for being here today and the path that kind of brought you to this webinar with us. We're excited to have you here. Just a couple of things. I was trying to think of what I wish I knew before coming to Peabody, and it's all good things. So what I have learned is, and I guess I'm comparing this to some of my graduate school experience at another school, is Vanderbilt and Peabody just is so supportive, and they're so comprehensive in all of the programs and supports that they provide for their students. So for me, I, quit my job and left my family and my friends and everything and moved across the country for this. So I wanted to know that I was, this decision was worth it, and that I was going to be supported moving across the country. And I'm sure for many people, that's a similar situation. So they provide services including, just your physical health and insurance. And I didn't have to figure out where to go to get like dental appointments and just those simple things. Like that's all happening within Vanderbilt. They have counseling services, they have academic services, they have life coaching. There's weekly meditations and yoga Zoom sessions. There's just, they have everything. And it was just such like a supportive environment moving here and knowing I had one place that was able to help me really adjust to a whole new city and kind of a whole new life. So that has been huge here. Another thing about Peabody and Vanderbilt is the networking is incredible. They do everything they can to introduce you to people in the community, people that are in jobs you might be interested in. My first week here, I had a meeting with my personal career counselor who gave me 5 people's names to contact on LinkedIn and get in touch with. So I think it's important to know if you're coming here, like you can feel confident that you will leave with a job opportunity or a good outlook on what you want to be doing, because the whole time they're working so hard to network and introduce you to people. And I think that's super important, again, if you're making such a big financial investment and time investment. There's so much I could say. Yeah, those are the things that really stuck out to me, I would say. And then I wanted to touch base a little bit on what like hybrid learning looks like and learning during the pandemic. And my classes are mostly online on Zoom right now. And it's been a very pleasant process, better than I thought it would be. All of the professors have been amazing with, giving us breaks and understanding that you might have children or an animal or, things are happening, or you might be eating your meal for the day. And they've also just been really flexible as well. In all of my classes, we've, had conversations and changed the plan for the semester based on the needs of the students, just because this is such a challenging time for everyone. So it's just an amazing environment to be in with professors who not only are brilliant and leaders in their field, but they genuinely care about you and your life and your well-being during this time. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat here. What are my career goals? Excellent question. So I am kind of between educational policy and advocacy, or being in a school setting in a role that is like a family resources coordinator. So that kind of goes back to networking. And every week in my classes, we've had speakers come in from the community, from different organizations. And that's really helped me to kind of narrow down on what my career goals are and to be able to find out what they're doing, and then be able to reach out to them and set up, Zoom meetings or one-on-one meetings to get more information and help me narrow down my research interests and my career goals. And I think the only other thing I wanted to say, and this is LDS specific, that I've really loved, especially just during this challenging time, is again, just to speak to how like incredible the people are here in the community. My cohort specifically, we have done like Zoom bonfires and talent shows, and we had class on election night, and we actually had a little talent show and just created space to hang out and do something lighthearted, because our professors knew that's what we needed. So again, like I've met people who are going to be lifelong friends who are challenging me. And I can't say enough amazing things about Peabody and Vanderbilt and being here. Really grateful.
Thanks, Maggie. I appreciate that. And it actually warms my heart. I will briefly say this is truly an amazing place. I've been here for 20 years. I started as a temp and was just passing through because I wasn't in higher education to begin with. And the reason I've stayed so long is the people. We make a difference, and I just love these people. So now I'm going to turn it over to Michael from Higher Education Administration Program.
Thank you, Kim. Like she said, my name is Michael Massett. I'm a second year in the Higher Education Administration program. Before coming to Peabody, I worked in the world of undergraduate admissions for about 5 years. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, but moved here from Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is nearby where my alma mater, Carleton College, was. Let's see, I was asked to talk a little bit about what makes Peabody distinctive. I'm going to kind of piggyback on some of the things that Maggie said. First off, ditto to everything that Maggie said, right? She said it incredibly well. I think a couple of things that are kind of a little bit distinctive about Peabody. One thing that I like to kind of brag about a little bit, but that I don't think a lot of people think about, is the fact that we have our own campus at Peabody. Like you can see it behind Kim. We're not like just a building, right, that exists, that's kind of randomly just kind of tucked away in the middle of some other campus. We literally have our own campus. We share that campus with all the freshman students at Vanderbilt, which is a little bit funky, but I actually think is kind of a blast, because there's this weird kind of nervous energy that exists with all these freshmen, but then also all of these first-year graduate students. That kind of melding, I think, is a lot of fun. The other thing I'll say is I just want to echo a lot of the points that have been kind of brought up, where the reason I chose Peabody is because in my mind, of all the schools that I was looking at, it was the best possible combination of academic rigor with national reputation. Because of course, as professional students, right, this is going to be a credential that's going to signal that, yes, we're amazing, talented people, you should hire us. But doing so in a very collaborative, friendly, community-focused way, basically, especially compared to frankly, some of our East Coast peers, right? Where things are a little bit more competitive, things are a little bit more kind of edgy, if you will. I don't know if it's because we're in the South. I don't know if it's because it's just Peabody specifically, and it's the people like Kim was alluding to. But I think that Peabody really does attract people who are here to get to be collaborative and to get to kind of work kind of in that team focus, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I guess I'll just stop there because otherwise I could keep going on forever. But that's kind of what I think is important to share.
Thanks, Michael. And let's turn it over to Cole from the Human Development Counseling Program.
Hey, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining in. I'm Cole Putman from Brandon, Mississippi, and I'm a second year in the Human Development Counseling Program on the clinical mental health track. So it's a mouthful. I went to the University of Mississippi for undergrad, and before I came to Peabody, I worked in admissions as well and was an admissions counselor in Jackson, Mississippi. And so I think some of what I wanted to share was why I chose Peabody. Candidly, I knew I wanted to be an LPC, so a licensed professional counselor, and I looked at a lot of programs and none stood out to me as much as the Peabody program did. I really was just blown away by the faculty and staff within HDC, Human Development Counseling at Peabody, and was just blown away too by the course offerings and all of the, I guess benefits would be the word, of being a student at Peabody. Our program has essentially a 99% job placement rate within 4 months of graduation. And that to me was so important that if I was going to invest in myself and in a degree, I wanted to make sure I was on the track to get the kind of job I wanted. And I can honestly say I felt so prepared by Peabody and by my professors and by the program to be ready for the job force after this. So something that I wish I would have known when I was applying, or what I would encourage for all prospective students, would be look at your course offerings. So sometimes I feel like folks are coming to look at graduate school and maybe aren't exactly sure what it is they want to study. And something that I really think can help you narrow that down is looking at each program and what the actual classes offered and required for the program are. As well, I encourage people to triangulate your data when you're getting your letters of reference. So try to get them from different places. Try to get them from someone from your current job, someone from undergrad, someone who has been a mentor, kind of giving a more holistic view into you and into who you are and what you have to offer. But yeah, and I want to speak to, I have just been blown away. But I truly feel honored and humbled sometimes when I'm sitting in class with some of my professors, because they are folks who are contributing and writing the textbooks and who are nationally known and hold national positions for different counseling organizations. And I've really loved the time I've had with them, and I'm excited for the next year and a half I have with them.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Cole. Let's see. We're going to go to Keldrick next, and I'm seeing some people enter questions, which is great. It would be helpful when you enter questions if you could make sure you send it to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see what we're responding to. If you forgot to do that or didn't do that, that's my fault. I didn't mention it at the beginning. It's still things that I'm learning through Zoom, and I always forget to mention that to people. But yeah, if you don't mind, then that way everybody can see the response. So now I'm going to turn it over to Keldrick. Keldrick.
Thank you, Kim. Hey, everybody. My name is Keldrick Stevens. I can't remember why I have Seattle as like my backdrop, but I am not from Seattle. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I am actually a second year LOP student, Leadership and Organization Performance. I actually have about 2 more weeks and then I will be done with the program. So I am like hitting cartwheels. I'm very sad to leave, but I'm hitting cartwheels. Like, I can't believe I had made this, accomplishment. I completed my undergraduate studies at Tuskegee University in Alabama, which is a historically Black college university. I spent about 6 years in college admissions, so 2 years at Morehouse, 4 years in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions here at Vandy. So I crossed paths with Michael for about maybe 2 months. And then I pivoted completely to actually take a role at Deloitte as their diversity talent, DEI talent strategist. And so really developing, strategy around recruitment, how to retain, amazing colleagues here at Deloitte. It's been really fun. I actually credit me pivoting out of higher education because of my program here at Vandy. I for sure thought that I would retire in college admissions, but LOP has really caused me to kind of like expand my portfolio, not a little bit, but really drastically. And I say that intentionally because of my professors. Corbett Doyle, hands down, one of my all-time favorite professors. I've taken all of her classes, everything from strategy to analytics. Eric Stevens, who's an amazing professor. Daniel LeBreton, he helped me understand my leadership skills, my leadership style, which is very helpful in interviewing for this job. Chris Quintrank, helping me understand organization theory, and the list goes on and on. Susan Douglas, I love how she creates this, this learning environment where it's very affirmative and inclusive. So it's very conducive for, everyone to throw out their input, throw out their ideas, and not feel, I guess, ashamed for what they're saying, but we all learn from each other. So that's been really transformative for me here in my program. I'm a huge quote guy, so I love quotes. I love to incorporate them into everything that I do. So my wife is a fourth grade teacher, and I listen to and she's teaching from home too. So we're like battling right now, like who can be quiet, who can be the loudest. But she's been teaching this lesson on beginning with the end in mind. And so if I could just offer a piece of advice, I would definitely recommend, that was the selling point for me here at Peabody, just starting with the end in mind of what you want to accomplish, not only at Peabody, but kind of like what Cole mentioned, like thinking long-term as far as what you want to do. And, I can speak to that because for me, I wanted to, again, stay within college admissions, focusing on HBCUs. And Vanderbilt does not have a program for HBCUs, but all of the professors here were able to set me up with, different presidents, chancellors at different HBCU institutions. A lot of my research, my master's thesis was on HBCU strategy. But then the turning point came when Corbett actually had me work with Vanderbilt's then Vice Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I looked at staff data across the entire campus and made some recommendations for Vanderbilt on how to enhance or improve it. And I also worked with Nissan's headquarters, which is not that far from Vanderbilt's campus, maybe 45 minutes at the most. I actually did a program assessment with Nissan on how to improve diversity within their organization as well. And so, all these things were lining up for me. I'm I have them on my resume. I met with Kathleen in Peabody Career Services. My resume was definitely, I would have to say, it's grown tremendously while being in this program. And so when the opportunity came for Deloitte, found it on LinkedIn, applied for it, didn't think I would get it, but then within a matter of seconds, well, not a matter of seconds, matter of days, I should say, interviewed, actually incorporated a lot of things and terminologies that I learned from the program. And here I am today, and I'm just sad to be leaving, but so excited that I'm actually doing something that I love. And, it's only a matter of going up from here.
Thank you so much, Keldrick. And I have to say, I am completely human. And when I was providing instructions to our panelists on kind of how this was going to go, I wasn't very clear. And Salome, thank you so much for emailing me. She's like, wait, I didn't know I could speak then. So let's go back to Salome and let her provide her input. And again, my fault, I am human. This is definitely a world where we all need to show each other grace and mercy. So thank you all for showing me grace and mercy, but I definitely want to hear what Salome has to say.
Thank you so much. I think just being a special educator, I'm I need explicit instruction as much as I give explicit instruction. So I just went with it, but thank you for still giving me the opportunities to share a little bit about just why Peabody is different from other schools. So I think something I liked when I was researching other programs is how we have different tracks in special ed. So depending on whether you want to work with severe students, severe disabilities, or high incidence or early childhood, you can pick a track. There's also additional add-ons that you can do. There's an ABA track, which is a behavior track that a lot of students at Peabody add on for the SPED track. So I think it just really gives you the width and each of them are, you get an advisor that's going to be your point person pretty much throughout the program, and that's been super helpful because she's just the person's your point person. She's a faculty member in the PhD program. All of the research that she's doing, I kind of am in on it. So while I'm getting the course offerings, I think similar to what Cole was saying, just really very well and designed very richly, because I get a lot of field experiences. So on one hand, I'm learning about what best practice is, but I'm also getting to go into schools. And I'm currently working at a public school. And I find as an international student, that wasn't something I was sure I was going to get, but I was very keen because I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like in the field to really see what it looks like on the ground. And so I think the way they've designed the program is just really well thought out. And the second thing that I found myself just really being very appreciative of is the cohort that I'm in. We have a very small cohort size at in the special ed program, and we've sort of been like family to each other this time. Like, I haven't had a chance to go back to India since the time I've moved here, which is almost 2 years now. But I find myself just like, being comforted by my faculty members who, again, just like they're actually cited in my textbooks and all these research papers. And I was like, how are these people so human? Like they get it. And they're just really understanding. With the first couple months, I feel like I had personal connections with these people, because you're like sharing experiences from when you go into schools, and they're really there to like problem solve with you. It's not just like, what is research saying, and take that at face value. We're learning how to question everything, see what's really applicable in schools, or even clinic settings if you're someone looking for that experience. So I find just like faculty cohorts been incredible support systems for me. I really liked how Keldrick talked about the career services, because I found that to be super helpful to me as well. Like the first day at orientation, we got to meet with Jeff Henley and Kathleen, and they pretty much said the same thing. They were like, what is your purpose? Like, why are you here? And they've been constant reminders through these 2 years. So you may get really, dive deep into the semester, and then they'll be like, there's a job fair, and like, send me your resume. And like, that's when you're like, wait, there's a deeper purpose to all of this. And I've had that time to work on my resume and, build connections with people in the field, which I think is super valuable, because that's sort of like the next step. And on the front end, something that I heard from another international student that I thought was really helpful is just trying to figure out logistics wise. So things like transportation in Nashville, like if you're an international student, that's something you want to look into, whether you have to get a car for your program. When it comes to like doing internships, things like that would be helpful to look into.
Perfect. And thank you all so much for participating today and your insight. And I am trying to help answer questions in the chat as well. Let's see. And thank you, panelists, for helping jump in where you can. There was a question that I'm hopeful Molly might be able to address a little. Someone was asking if anybody had any interaction with the child life track. I know, Molly, you're on the research track. Do you have any experience or might be able to provide any information? And if not, just email me and I can put you in touch with somebody, but not to put you on the spot, Molly. So it's totally fine to say, totally different, not my thing. But I'm also gonna put my email in the chat. If we miss some questions or you have questions later, just email me directly. I'll put you in touch with the right people if we don't have a representative on the panel. So Molly, do you have any insight?
Yeah, so I think quite a number of people on the applied track are aiming to be a child life specialist. I know there are a lot of courses offered that kind of set you up for that. I'm not entirely sure about whether you can get the certification as a part of the degree. I know that the applied track also has an ABA track. And so I'm not sure if we also have a child life specialist track. I would not be surprised if we did, because that's what a lot of people are interested in. And there are so many classes every semester on things that would be, relevant to that specialty. So I definitely think that if you're looking to be a child life specialist, like it's the applied track for child studies is a really good way to go. I also wanted to answer someone else's question on here about master's preparation. They said their undergrad was not in the desired area of study. I majored in creative writing, so I had like nothing. I did a little bit of cognitive research in undergrad, but I really came in with little experience, just sort of a passion. I originally applied for a doctoral program. I didn't get in, obviously, because I didn't have, the experience needed. And so I was offered the spot in the child studies master's program, and it's just been life-changing. Like, for me personally, this program is what's going to allow me, hopefully, to get a PhD. But yeah, I majored in something totally different. I had a little clinical experience. I had very little research experience. So I definitely felt like I was going to be behind coming in, but it's been a great opportunity, and they really have classes like starting you from all levels.
I did the classic Zoom move. I started talking and I forgot to unmute myself. That's what I get for trying to do too many things at once. So I'm trying to keep up with all of this. So thank you guys, for the panelists, for helping with this. I do want to give the panelists, as we've kind of seen some questions from current or prospective students, if there's anything else that you might want to interject or say. I know a couple of you had talked about meeting with like Jeff and Kathleen and the Peabody Career Services support, which is absolutely fabulous. This year our graduates, 93% of them had jobs within 4 months of graduation, which it was a pretty tough year to find jobs. So that's a really awesome figure. And what's interesting about that figure is they have what they call a knowledge rate of, this year it was 92%. So what that means is they were in touch with 92% of the students who had graduated. And a lot of schools may say, oh, we have a 93% placement rate as well, but they might only be in touch with 50% of the students. So that's something very unique to Peabody and something we're very proud of. And one of the things that makes Peabody a little different from other schools. So do any of the panelists have anything? Do you want to comment on maybe some student service supports, or another note I made, maybe how to make the most out of your time at Peabody? I do hear lots of prospective students say, I wish in my first semester I'd gotten more involved with my faculty members or my cohorts. So if any of you would like to provide a little more information, and it looks like Keldrick is up to the plate. Thanks.
I was actually going to kind of pivot just slightly. I know I had a question about, I guess, work-life balance and then having a partner too. So my wife is a doctoral student at Peabody too. So our life is like it's chaotic at times. But as far as like balance, the cool thing for me is that in our program, and I'm not sure about anyone else, but our classes start around 4 o'clock. And some classes start at 5:20 as well. And so I have ample time, to go get something to eat, and then kind of rush over to class a little bit. But I've also so my first year was very difficult trying to balance it all, just being honest. But I was able to work with my supervisor at Vandy, and then even at Deloitte, told my supervisor up front that I have classes at 4, some classes at 5, and we were, it worked out well. I was able to I'm a morning person, so I'm able to do a lot of my work earlier during the day, and then at 4, just check out completely to go to class. A lot of the class assignments in our program are really group-based. And so we do a lot of group projects. And so it's really a matter of just someone else pulling their weight and, you pulling your weight too, and they're just coming together. Like I have a group meeting like in probably about the next 30 minutes where we're just going to talk about our group project that's due later on this year. And so it's really just kind of like picking and choosing what works for you, and kind of finding that healthy balance. But I've really I'm not perfect at it, but I've gotten better at finding balance and communicating with my professors too. Just letting them know like, hey, when I worked at undergraduate admissions, I went to Africa last year for 2 weeks, or 17 days rather, so 2.5 weeks. And it was a lot. But this is pre-COVID, so I was able to log in via Zoom, be able to still connect with my professor about my research paper. And so they're very understanding. I think just owning it up front, just being honest and like letting them know that this is what's going on, I think you'll be fine. But I've also been involved with the BCC, the Black Culture Student Center, a lot of the professional organizations, Peabody's Black Graduate Association as well. So lots of events that take place. We have different coffee chats, even with the resume blitz that takes place every single year. So just get involved and you'll find friends and you'll have lots of fun.
I think I'd like to echo that because it's amazing to think that even once we move virtual, the fact that they've kept up with all of these events and making sure they're checking in on us, and there's still more that we're doing beyond our program that we can sign up for is pretty great.
I wanted to jump in quick. Laura had asked a question. I think it was twice now in the chat, so I wanted to make sure I addressed it. Laura had asked about the differences between a 1 year and a 2 year program and just what that looks like with the cohort and the workload and everything. So I wanted a 1 year program just because where I'm at in my life, I wasn't in a place to be in a program for a couple years. So in that way, I like that it's intense, but it's 1 year and then I'm back into the professional world. I will say it is a lot of work and it does feel like a lot sometimes, but the program was created in a way that everything connects to each other, knowing that it's only 1 year. So we're doing work in a research class on a literature review, and then we're using that in another class. So everything flows well together. So it's not overwhelming because everything is connected and what you're doing in one class is helping you in another rather than feeling like you're just kind of all over the place. Yeah, so I hope that answered that question a little bit. And then in terms of the cohort, yeah, I mean, I can speak to the LDES cohort that we've been really intentional about building relationships even virtually. We have had like a couple little picnics with our masks on the lawn at Peabody, socially distanced, but we also bring a laptop and Zoom in the people in our cohort that are in other states and other countries. And, we've done fun things. We did a paint night and our program director actually mailed like canvases to everybody. And then we all sat down on a Friday night and did a paint night together. So in terms of like the cohort experience, it's been amazing. And the distance and the 1 year has not hindered that at all.
Excellent. And I do see one question that you guys are definitely more qualified to answer than I am because I did not go through the Peabody application process. I pushed all the buttons to admit all of you, but I didn't go through the process. So does anybody have any advice? The question is, what advice do you have on submitting the best application possible from your perspective, having recently gone through the process?
Sure, I can help, I guess, kind of tackle that question. My thought is that with this application process, it's your job to understand that the different aspects of that application are kind of like pieces to a puzzle, right? And so each piece of that puzzle has a different role to play. And so I think the statement of purpose, of course, is going to be one of the most critical aspects because you want to make sure that you're clearly conveying, here's who I am, here are the things that I've done, here's why I'm awesome, and you should choose to admit me, right? But that's also the best place that you have to infuse a lot of that individuality and kind of personality into your application. Because like everyone's going to have a GPA, right? If you choose to submit GRE scores, right, that's just a number, whereas that statement of purpose is a great opportunity to really, like I said, kind of take full creative control, if you will, kind of over that process. But also different people are going to have different things, right? If you're coming straight out of undergrad, you're not going to be able to highlight too much work experience, right? Whereas if you were like me or a couple of other people on this panel, you will have worked for somewhere between, 3 to 5 years in the real world, in which case you're going to highlight a little bit more of that work relevant experience to the application. So frankly, I don't know if there is a one size fits all best answer, but it's your job just to understand like, these are the things that you bring to the table and how you choose to highlight each aspects of those, of who you are, if you will, is what's important, right? So I hope that makes sense and it's not too admissions jargony because I know I fall into that spiel a lot. But.
Thank you, Michael. You make me laugh. We do have a question that you guys, I think, are better to answer. Somebody is asking if there are any COVID protocols in place for fall 2020. Oh, sorry, I misread that. I was thinking fall 2020. I can answer that. Right now, there's no information for fall 2021 yet. I mean, Vanderbilt is working very closely. We have a top-ranked medical center where the university works very closely with the medical center, the local government, the national guidelines, the Center for Disease Control. So a call has not been made for what's going to happen in fall 2021 yet. What I do know is that our goal was to have in-person classes until Thanksgiving, which we are making. And just from information that I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from friends at other schools, Vanderbilt is taking it very seriously and has many more precautions in place than lots of other institutions right now. And I expect that to continue until the spring. Like right now, I'm a staff person, and if staff can work from home, we have to work from home. I can literally make a reservation to go into my office and pick something up, but I'm given like a 2 or 3 hour window to get in and out, and then I'm locked out. And the reason is for that is because Vanderbilt is all about the students, and the students, several of them want the in-person experience. They want to be in classes. They're socially distanced, obviously, which has made some classes smaller than they typically would have been. But the focus is on the students. So if you don't have to be on campus, they don't want you on campus. So I hope that kind of answers that. And they've been great about keeping everybody informed with what is happening. And they will definitely make a call that if things did not go the right way, if there was an uptick in COVID, they would definitely shut things down to keep us safe. So I hope that answers that question. And y'all, what other questions are we missing? I feel like I'm talking keeping this thing rolling and then trying to answer things in the chat. So what have I missed? I think we might have everything.
Yeah, I would just, if I can add, it doesn't hurt to start reaching out to people. You have a wide array of, I guess, scholars here on the platform now who have different, who are focusing on different studies. That's what I'm trying to say. So, reaching out to people, just networking. That's one thing I hate networking. I love people, but networking, it scares me because I'm like, I have to put myself out there. But if I can just challenge you all, don't be afraid to network as much as possible, because you never know who knows one person that can connect you with another person that can at least help you with a project, your thesis, with further research here at Peabody. You just never know. So, and I only say that now because I just got an email from work about hey, I know someone that went to your alma mater. I'm like, this person works here. I did not know that, so don't be afraid to network.
I love it. And I hear that from so many students. They say, oh, they keep talking about networking and I hated it. But our career services office is amazing at walking you through the process. So it's not intimidating. We have a very well-connected alumni network, and they remember what it was like when they first started reaching out. So yeah, it's something that's very important. They make it very easy with different interview relays, different opportunities for you to interact with employers and alumni, and really just boiling it down to here are the steps you need to go through. Here are some things that you need to be prepared to do, and having your back kind of going, it's okay, you can do this. I've got your back. We'll learn from this. So yeah, that's a very good point, Keldrick. What else? I see we still have time. Does anybody else have any questions for any of the panelists?
I just want to add that, feel free to reach out to professors, if you are interested in a specific field, you want to know more about the work and what that would look like or when you come onto campus, or even just what the course really looks like, and reach out to people. They're more than happy to help.
Yeah. And I just see a question rather than typing, now that the things aren't flying everywhere. Elizabeth is asking how significant is knowing a Vanderbilt alumni in the process? It's not significant at all. Absolutely not at all. I think a lot of the people that, as I'm looking at their applications, the majority of them do not mark anything that they are affiliated with Vanderbilt in any way, shape, or form. So it's definitely not important at all.
I just wanted to add, if anyone is interested in the LDES program, I'm also the program assistant. So please feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have about the program. I can also get you in touch with our director, Chris. She's wonderful as well. And we actually just had a prospective student sit in on one of our classes. So we're happy to have you sit in if you want to see what a class with us is like on Zoom. And I saw like a couple things in the chat I'm trying to address as well. If anyone has questions about like housing or anything, I've only been in Nashville a couple months, but I guess I have a new perspective about some different neighborhoods. And if you're looking to move here, I would recommend living closer to Vanderbilt, not knowing if we're going to be in person or online next year. I'm in East Nashville and there's just a little bit of traffic. So I would definitely recommend being closer if you can. And then I saw something about just like loans and as well. And I just like, I have a graduate position. There are a lot of positions to help you in terms of funding or scholarships. And there's always opportunities. I actually just started a research assistant position as well that's providing extra funding. So there are plenty of opportunities in terms of finding ways to to fund your education as well.
And I also see that Paige has a question about types of jobs or internships available to graduate students on or off campus. I really can't speak much to off campus, but what I will say is it's a wide variety, kind of like Maggie was saying, there's a wide variety of different positions available on campus, whether it be in research labs, whether it be in various offices. Paige, if you want to send me an email, I'm happy to help provide you a little more information. But yeah, it's a wide variety of the positions that are available.
I see a question, I think from Tatiana. Yeah. I was typing a response, but it got kind of a little bit lengthy, if you don't mind me answering it. But, just being a Black man on Vanderbilt's campus, my first year, it was a bit of an adjustment coming from a historically Black college and university, and then working at Morehouse, similar to Tuskegee. And so my first year, I was the only Black male in my program. So, it took just a little bit of adjusting, because of the classroom structure and demographics. But what I can say is that my cohort, the people that I did a lot of group projects with, were very supportive. And I'm not saying that as a publicity stunt, but, being around people that understood, that recognized what was going on in the world, if there was any evidence of police brutality, that was, hinted at in the news, them stopping and like, Keldrick, are you okay? Like, first off, before we even do this group project, that meant a lot to me. Again, so very supportive, very affirming. Anytime, as a Black man, or at least I can speak for myself, I tend to second guess myself a lot. Like, I'm not sure if I should say this, if I should do that. So just being in a space where people are like, no, like, we love that answer. We're going to go with it. Like, we're going to put you, at the front, not just because you're Black, but because, you have evidence of your answer and this is the correct way to move. And I also love, how we were open to diverse thought too in the classroom. So there was one specific topic where we had an analytics project and we were looking at police data. And it became it was like, I wouldn't say a heated discussion, but it was just kind of like more intense, a little bit awkward. But I felt comfortable in the classroom because a lot of my peers, over time knew where I stood on certain things, and them just speaking up, kind of pushing back on certain things and being able to offer critical feedback to the professor, that was a highlight of my experience at Peabody too. And so one big family, all love, and I just appreciated it. So.
Thanks for that, Keldrick. I did see a question about graduate student dorms. At this time, Vanderbilt does not have any dorms. They have been building some. Last I heard, I think they were supposed to be open fall 2021, but with the current environment, I'm not sure about that. So right now they don't have any. And then there was a question about child studies only accepting students in the spring. They actually only accept new students in the summer. So summer is the only term for child studies to have new students start. So I I hope, and again, panelists, thank you so much. We've had so many good questions and good interaction. I am thrilled, and I would have been in a world of hurt if you all did not help me keep up with the chat. Let's see. Oh, we got a question for Cole, I think. And I keep seeing, thank you panelists for saying, feel free to reach out to me. And of course, feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to find. And if you look through your email box, you probably have 1 or 2 things from me that came out about this webinar, but I really am easy to reach. Since we are working remotely, email is the best way to reach me. We can set up a time to talk or to Zoom. Technically, I should be able to answer my office phone via Skype. That's what they tell me, and it works some of the time. Yeah, Kelder, he's understanding my pain. He's understanding my pain, and it's like, I'm trying to get to you, but I can't make it pick up. So excellent, and thanks for your patience. But if there are no other, oh, Cole, go ahead.
Yes, I'll answer that question and just say that the resources in the curriculum, as well as my professors, have kind of helped me further clarify my own goals. And one of the things that I loved about my first year in HDC is that it casts a really wide net with the material. And so you're really learning about so many different theories of counseling, so many different areas where you can be involved as a therapist or as a licensed professional counselor. And for our program, essentially your first year for the clinical mental health track and for the school track are the same, except for 1 or 2 classes. And so if you come in and you're trying to decide if you want to do the dual track, which is now an option, or if you're like, I want to do the school track or the clinical track, it really helps me to be able to have so much information available. And I will say it is a lot at first, but also with Vanderbilt, our library and a lot of the resources through the library have been really helpful to me for getting more information on theories or on like places that I might want to specialize in following graduation. So I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. And I will put in, I don't have favorite programs, but I will put, I see somebody, and you'll know who you are. We were emailing, I was responding to some questions that were entered in the registration. And I will say that my counselor is actually a graduate of the HDC program, which when I saw that diploma sitting on her wall, I kind of went, I can't get away from that place. No matter where I go, you can run, but you can't hide. So yeah, I will say, love my counselor who is a graduate of that program. And let's see. I think we're good. Did we catch everybody? Any last comments from the panelists? That's not a requirement, just checking.
I would just recommend, if you have social media, checking out like Facebook, Instagram, all the different handles. I think that Vanderbilt and Peabody do an amazing job, all the different organizations, of just putting stuff out. So if you just kind of want an idea of different events and speakers and programs and things going on, that's a great way to just get snippets of what's going on here.
That's very good. Thank you for saying that, Maggie. That's something that me being in admissions should have thought to say. So thank you for covering that as well. Shannon, I see you have a question about how do you ask a professor to study under them? Why don't you email me with that question, because I have a couple of questions to ask in response to that. And I think it'd just be easier in a more private format. And then yes, contact email for further questions. I think mine's already out there. You can definitely email me. Or if there's something for a panelist and you missed the email, email me and I can put you in touch with them. I'm happy to do that. And yeah, I think we're kind of at a point where we can wrap this up. Thank you again, panelists, for your insight and taking time to do this. And it's also very good to see your faces. I was talking about this before we went live. And the participants, those of you who joined us today, really thank you for being here. And this was a great a great opportunity, a great webinar. I'm really pleased with it. There was lots of action and interaction, but no, we're definitely available after this if you have other questions. So I hope you all stay well. As my dean would say, and pretty much always says at the end of any meeting, don't forget to wash your hands and wear your masks. Stay safe. And again, thank you for joining us. Bye, y'all.